welcome to Highland Showcase, bringing you a snapshot of life in the Highlands of Scotland. Today we're here at Brora Loch, where I've come on a trek with Highland Unbridled. More from that later. First of all, let's take a look at what's in this week's show. Coming up in this week's show, I go pony trekking through some stunning Sutherland scenery with Highlands Unbridled in Brora. Clan Donald gather to remember Major General Sir Hector McDonald at the National Monument, which towers over Dingle. We look back on the summer in the Royal Borough of Tain, where Tain Gala Association put on a week-long programme of entertainment. And with only weeks until the first Highland Games, we take a look back at the Glenmorangie Tain Highland Gathering. I went along to Highlands Unbridled, just off the A9 at Brora, for a day's pony trekking. Not having ridden since I was a teenager, I was placed in the safe hooves of a patient and good-natured Irish cob gelding called Eli. Joining me for my morning session was trek leader Kylie Pope. A slow and steady walk was just what I needed to relax me back into the saddle. Passing under bridges and through water was a new experience for me, as I've only ever ridden on flat fields, but it's all second nature to Eli. The trek we were going on was the day ride, which would start off with us heading to the beach before following the River Brora uphill and stopping for lunch. Making our way down the cliff paths to the beach, the beautiful Sutherland coastline glistened in the sun. With some of the cliff paths quite steep, I had to remember to lean back so as not to go over the top of Eli's head, as well as taking in the stunning views across the sea, with Port Mahomack, Tarbot Ness, and just a glimpse of Glenmorangie distillery on the horizon. As the horses got nearer the beach, you could feel their excitement building. Their steps shortened and they lifted their heads. They knew where they were going and they knew what they were going to do. Crossing the stones on the beach was a strange experience. You're relying on your horse not to slip on the uneven and unsteady surface. With waves crashing and the vast expanse of sand opening up in front of us, we walked up to the far end of the beach so I could get a feel for riding on the sand. Then we turned and let the horses run. Slowing to a walk as we reached the rockier end of the beach gave me time to see more of the scenic coastline, all of which is on our Highland doorstep, but is somewhere I have never visited before. There is an abundance of wildlife, including seals, seabirds and otters, all along the Brora coastline, which is crisscrossed with walkways for the public to enjoy, as well as the beach itself. After a brief stop to spot some seals, which unfortunately I didn't manage to catch on camera, we headed back along the beach and up the cliff paths, which you have to remember to lean forward when going up, before heading back to the stables for some high visibility vests and taking to the road to join up with the other trekkers who had already left for the river, including Highlands Unbridled owners Jan and Graham O'Neill. First of all, can you tell us about Highlands Unbridled?
We started up about 7 years ago now, and because we're located on the coast at Brora, we thought it would be nice to do coast-to-coast rides. So we started out initially offering long-distance holidays, riding from coast to coast across Scotland. The first year it took a long time for us to get our licence, so we had to do something to keep us going. the council just weren't set up for doing long distance holidays. If we were a trekking centre it would be fine, if it was a riding school it would be fine, but they had to make up some new rules for us. So we did some trekking for the first year just to keep going, and the trekking really took off as well. So now we have two sides to the business. Pony trekking, we cater for all ages and abilities, and the riding holidays, which are for more experienced riders.
So the pony trekking is based at home in Brora, and then the long distance starts from Brora and heads usually over to the west coast and back.
So during the summer we do 2 weeks away, so a week in each direction, and then the horses have a week off, and then we start again doing different routes.
So that trek across coast to coast, that is a long trek. Is that one of the longest ones in the UK?
So the longest one that we do is called the longest ride, and we start in Brora and we head up to the north coast, up by Tain, then over to the west coast at Lochimber, and then all the way back again. So that's about 270 miles.
17 days.
17 days. So
with a couple of days off in between. You don't keep going for 17 days on the trot. Yeah.
Horses get a bit of a break, the riders get a chance to ease their sore muscles and do a bit of sightseeing as well. But yeah, 17 days.
Usually the long distance are roughly between 4 days and the longest is 17 days. The shortest is 4 days.
Yeah.
Up and down the Great Glen's a short one. Yeah.
So fantastic scenery going out on these treks.
We're really lucky. It's a wonderful place to be based, and being based in Brora we're lucky because we have the beaches on our doorstep as well. But it's just really nice to get out into the hills. It's just lovely. It's just nice to get up high and
well, it means the riders, people on horseback, go places where people don't normally go, unless you're a hill walker or an extreme mountain biker. And the horses will take you the same places as those folks go, so you get to see a lot of the Highlands that most people don't see.
So how has my riding been today?
I think you've been doing pretty well actually. So I came through the river no problems at all, and no, I think you're doing fine.
It just shows that the horses, they are fantastic horses. I haven't ridden for 20 years, but the horse has been great with me.
They know their job. They're a pretty good bunch. We've been very lucky with the horses we've got, and it has been more by luck than design that they've come our way. So yeah, they're great.
Do you trust your horse?
I do. I feel very comfortable.
I think your horse trusts you as well, so it's a good combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like you said with the treks, it can be somebody who's never ridden before who comes out.
Yes, on the treks based in Brora.
Yes.
Yes, it can be complete beginners, and we get a lot of complete beginners. But normally they'll only do the shorter rides, like an hour or 2 hours. For 3 hours, really, they need to have a bit more experience. And for a day ride, yeah, a bit more experience again.
For the long distance rides, you need to be competent at riding, which means you should be up to canter and maybe gallop on the beach if you want to. But for the long distance rides, I think you need to be a reasonably good rider. And slightly crazy.
I would say you'd need to be slightly crazy.
It helps.
So what made you choose Brora to set up Highlands Unbridled?
It was just where we were living. Simple as that. We didn't seek it out, but it's just turned out to be the perfect location. We've got the beach on our doorstep, we've got fantastic forest rides behind us, and then a little bit further away we've got all these lovely hills. We couldn't find anywhere better if we tried, but it's more.
And we've had a lot of support from sort of local landowners as well, because when we're going from coast to coast, we have to go across different estates. The gamekeepers, the stalkers, and the landowners themselves are really helpful.
Without them, we just couldn't operate.
Yeah, because we're riding across their territory, their land. Yeah. So we always ask permission.
I know with the access rights as they are now, we can go wherever we want to, but we couldn't really do it without the landowners' cooperation.
Yeah, really helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
So what's next? Are you looking at developing more treks? Or?
Well, yes. Next year we're looking at doing an even longer ride than the longest ride. So we're looking at riding from probably Fort William over to Montrose, and then back again, but by a different route. So it'll be a big circular route, which will probably take a month.
Wow!
But it will be sold in 4 parts. So people can do a week of it, maybe 1 year, and maybe come back the next year and do another week, and eventually take in the whole thing.
That will be some trek.
So we're looking forward to doing that one.
Yeah.
But we always check our trails first by walking them to make sure they are suitable for horses. So me and Jan have got a lot of walking ahead of us to make sure the trail's passable and safe.
It's a long way to walk.
Yeah, we spend our winters walking and backpacking and camping in the cold, so we can ride it in the summer.
Yeah.
And you get people coming from all over the world to you to either help out or to learn more about horses.
Yes, we have people coming on working holidays, so they stay with us and help learn a bit of horse care, go out riding each day. And then we have people coming on the workaway scheme, and they come and help out and just help out in exchange for board and lodging. So,
Because you do have quite a number of horses.
we do. We have 32. So,
And I reckon if we had more grazing, we'd probably have more horses. Well, Jan would anyway.
Well, you need that number of horses purely to give them a rest in between treks, I'd imagine. Isn't it?
that and because we need different horses for different levels of rider. So we have some horses that will just do the trekking, some horses that will just do the coast-to-coast rides or long-distance rides, and some that will do a bit of both. But we need little tiny ponies for tiny tots, and we need great big horses for big strapping men. So we need to have something for everybody.
So today's trek, we've been on several different terrains and areas of the countryside.
Yes, starting we went onto the beach, rode down on the beach. We went on the beach with Kylie.
Well, the horses love that.
Horses love the beach. Yeah.
Nice soft sand.
And there's lots of wildlife down there. We get lots of seals on the beach. I think you saw one when you were riding out there, following you along. But we get common seals and grey seals out there, which is really quite nice, and lots of different birds. And then we came along the road, single track roads, and then through the river, through the ford, which luckily was quite low today. Sometimes it can be very high, and sometimes we have to dismount and take the horses across the bridge.
But you notice when you came off the beach and started to get onto the road, you had to put your high-vis vest on.
That's right, yeah.
And that's highly recommended when you're riding on the road, so that obviously vehicles can see you. Common sense.
We've been along the river. The river's the River Brora, and this is Loch Brora behind us. Again, it's very picturesque down there, and it's a lovely trail. It's one of our favourite rides. I think all the ride leaders would agree. The day ride that we do this day is a favourite because it's got the beach and the hill and everything in it, the Lochside River.
There's lots of ups and downs.
Lots of ups and downs, and lots of ducking under low branches.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's very nice.
So you've got different trails in and around the area that you can go on.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we've got several different day rides that we do.
Uh-huh.
4 or 5 different routes, according to people's levels of experience as well, and what the weather's doing. Because if it's a rainy day, the last place you want to be is up in the top of the hills. So you've got low level trails as well.
Now, today we covered several different types of ground. We had the sand, obviously the road, and we've had boggy ground and firm ground. How do the horses cope with all these different types?
Well, the horses that we take on the long distance rides mostly wear boots. Most of them aren't shod, and the reason for that is because shoes can be quite slippery on stony ground. So they wear boots which completely protect their foot, it protects their hoof, it protects the sole, and it protects their heels and pasterns as well. So it gives them a high level of protection.
So how does that impact their actual hooves, their different types?
Well, we have their feet trimmed regularly, and our farrier comes and he knows that most of our horses are barefoot and wear boots, so he trims them accordingly. Some of the horses, the ones that just do the trekking, and the larger horses, have shoes on. They're normal traditional horseshoes. And if we have some of those doing the long distance rides, they'll have boots over the top when they're on stony ground. Just because it gives them more grip. The reason that the trekking ponies have metal shoes on as opposed to boots is purely to save time in the summer, because the last thing the girls want to be doing when they're getting a ride ready for 6 riders is putting boots on 6 ponies. If they've already got shoes on, they're ready to roll. Just need their feet picked out and they're ready to go. And for us, it was a way of working together I think that's what we really wanted to achieve, was to find a job that we could do, that we could work together, and it would be more of a lifestyle. So that's why we're doing what we're doing, adding new routes, and that means people come back. So we have people that come back year after year. We've got some people now that are coming back for their 4th year. So it's great. We keep on adding routes. Hopefully they'll come back and do some more.
And we get to meet lots of nice people.
We do.
Join us after the break, where Clan Donald remember Fighting Mac in Dingwall, and more from my pony trekking with Highlands Unbridled in Brora. On Saturday, the life and times of a crofter's son turned military mastermind is celebrated in Dingwall over a century of his passing. Sir Hector McDonald, nicknamed Fighting Mac, worked his way through the ranks all the way to Major General and was one of the most celebrated soldiers of the Victorian age.
The birth of Hector Archibald McDonald, Ferrintosh, March the 4th, 1853. The March wind roared in on Lion's Breath, kissed the head of the 7th son of Ulam and Anna. The suckling bairn, wrapped in a woolly blanket, is bla nail na maher, warm as a mother's breath. Hector Archibald McDonald, and while Rootfield shivered neath a hairy cloak. School time in 1859, lads of the land, sons of the soil, time to leave, green-bearded grey stone faces and copestones locked over a settled hearting. Apprehensive steps scuffed the road to learning to the sanctuary of Mulbui's sparse school, uplifted by Dominie Treasurer's calling, peering over his pulpit like font, baptising his charges, puzzling the ones and the twos, books of the territories, the here and the now, tales of the past, Cuchulainn the hound, Fians and the Fiend, Trojans and Greeks, impressed the young lads, imprinted on yours, Hector Archibald McDonald.
As High Chief, why is it important to you to come along to the memorial service today?
Well, I think, in this day and age, people are too quick to write off anything to do with history, the clans, etc. as being anachronistic. But then when you come to something like this and the actual memorial to Sir Hector McDonald, who, let's face it, is one of Clan Donald's greatest sons, it's really a most moving occasion, and it also brings the feeling of everything that he stood for and what the clan stands for into true perspective. It really is a most moving occasion.
And it was good to see the people of Dingwall come out to support it as well.
It's lovely to see particularly the children and so on, all the young people. And history is important, and if you can actually annotate it to an individual like Sir Hector, I mean, he was a really great man. When you think what he did all those years ago, and standing here in front of the memorial today, a bit cold, but it's truly a moving occasion.
And it certainly is a memorial, isn't it?
It's a most amazing structure, but it's fitting for a man of what he achieved. When you think in that day and age, 160 years ago, a local man rising up to being one of the great generals in the British Army is, never mind then, even today, would be a true enormous achievement.
He just goes to show that it doesn't matter where you come from, it's your spirit that really counts for everything.
I think so, and of course having the Highland blood in coursing through your veins is bound to help. So many great Highlanders played an enormous part in the foundation of the British Empire, and Sir Hector is no exception.
He joined the Gordon Highlanders, and then of course was very firmly entrenched into the British Army. But what was so remarkable about Hector was that he rose up through the ranks, and when you think you're talking of the latter part of the Victorian era, this was unheard of, this sort of upstart in a way. He became, one of his great triumphs was Omdurman, but there was much more than that to Hector. and as a consequence he became a Major General in the British Army, and was knighted by Queen Victoria, and became a celebrity, and of course entertained in all the smart salons of the day in London and in Edinburgh. But sadly, an incident in his life turned all that upside down, and I won't go into the whys and wherefores. The man, it was never proven what occurred, but like the man he was, a very brave man, he decided that the only thing to do, in his opinion, was the honourable thing, and he was in a Paris bedroom, and he in fact shot himself. So he committed suicide, and that was the end of Hector. But in a way it wasn't the end of Hector, because he was much admired. He was known as Fighting Mac. He had a tremendous following. His men, who he commanded, would have gone to the ends of the earth for him. He was a true leader, and therefore that compounded the tragedy. And when you think here today we're celebrating the life of Hector McDonald at this monument behind me here, when you think this monument was erected by public subscription, and I think it will tell you something of the man. There's also a very nice monument in Malbuie, near Rootfield, where he was born, that was erected by, or built by, his local classmates, who most of them were masons, and they did an excellent job there too. And of course he's remembered in Edinburgh too. There's a monument to him, and of course he was buried in Edinburgh.
Well, I think it's tremendous. We're very proud of him. We're very proud of Sir Hector McDonald, Fighting Mac, as he's known locally and affectionately. He is a local hero. I mean, I know he's a national hero as well, but he's our local hero, and we're very proud that his monument is here in Dingwall. But Dingwall was, the main town for anyone in the area. It is absolutely stunning, and anyone that comes to the area, the first thing they ask is, who is that beautiful monument for? And we're very proud to say it was our local hero.
Our lunch break at Loch Brora not only gave us and the horses a rest, but it also gave me a chance to catch up with trek leader Kylie. So Kylie, we were on the beach this morning, just the two of us out for a ride on there. Now the horses, they love that.
Yeah, it's their favourite thing in the world, the beach. You've noticed a difference with him when he was on the beach compared to when he's out in the woods and things. They just get so excited. They just really love it. Their favourite things.
Yeah, you just seem to feel free.
Yeah. And I think another thing is as well that they like to run. So they kind of associate the beach with just getting the chances to run together, and it's quite a natural thing for them all to do, so they really kind of go for that.
Yeah, just as we were coming up to it, you could feel all of a sudden that...
Yeah, they lift, don't they? You can just feel them lift underneath you, and then it's just... you just kind of go, oh, what's going to happen next?
Hold on and go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we came up there, obviously we came back up and joined the rest of the trek.
Yeah.
Coming up through the woods, it is quite different to being down on the beach, isn't it?
Yeah. You kind of, I think it's quite nice that we've got that as well, that you can kind of go from one to the other, and you get a change in scenery as well. Very quickly, we can go from being on the beach 1 minute and be in the woods the next, and the next we're on the hill, and it kind of a lot of variety for the horses as well. And I think they quite enjoy it. They quite enjoy the change of scene. And sometimes some of them will just kind of gaze wistfully into the horizon, and they're like, oh, look at the view.
They're just like us.
Yeah, and I think they enjoy it just as much, I think. I mean, they're quite big animals, so if they really didn't want to do something, there's not an awful lot you can do about it at the end of the day.
Now, can you tell me a bit more about what your role is here at Highlands Unbridled?
Yeah, I mean, this time of year, Jan and Graham are obviously here most of the time, so I kind of generally take care of the horses and run around the yard and try and organise like working holidays and things like that. People that are are out and about and are new to Highlands Unbridled, and try and get them all working together as a team basically. And then when Jan and Graham are away, I kind of take over kind of more responsibility when they're not here, so I kind of have a bit more weight on my shoulders and have to look after everybody and make sure that everything's running okay, and we've got food for the horses and things like that. So yeah, it's quite, I do enjoy it. I enjoy having the extra responsibility, and it's not exactly the worst job in the world really, having this all on your doorstep. So
On a day like today, it's great.
yeah.
When it's raining, obviously you love horses.
Yeah.
So
It does dampen it a little bit when it's torrential rain and you've got rides booked to go out, and you just don't know whether they're going to turn up or not, or it's absolutely bucketing it down and they still want to go out for 3 hours, and you're just like, oh, I've been out in the rain all morning. I don't really want to go out again. But most of the time, like 90% of the time, you just kind of, it's nice to be out. Once you get on and get gone, you kind of forget about the rain, or I find I do anyway. It just becomes part of it.
and the horses, it's just another day for them.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes they'll be a bit like, oh, it's raining, do we have to? Like children. But then they go, all right then, and then they kind of get into it, particularly if the beach is involved. They don't care whether it's raining then.
When we were down on the beach, we were lucky enough to see some seals.
Yeah, you often see them down there. By the summertime, they get really brave and they'll just stay on the beach. And you can ride the horses within 20 feet of them, and they just don't bother. They just look over their shoulder at you and wiggle around so they can keep facing you, and that's it. It's quite nice for families and things to be able to go on a trek past the seals and they just don't move.
And the horses aren't bothered by
No. The only time they get really bothered if they all just rush off quickly and they'll have a look, why are all these rocks moving? But most of the time they just walk past and go, oh, it's just the seals. There's nothing to be worried about. They'd be more scared of a rock in the woods than they would of the seals. So quite funny like that, horses. Quite selective in what they're frightened of.
So the Highlands here, it's ideal for this sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's just, it's so wild. You can kind of, one minute you're in a village and the next minute it's like there's nobody here and you're the first people to have come here. So it's what really drew me to the area as well. It's just it's really quite unchanged for the most part. So I really enjoy that. The best bit about my job, probably the riding. I'd say, yeah, the riding on the beach, having a good gallop down the beach and feeling the horses just going for it, and yeah, that's probably the really real highlight. Yeah, and the look on people's faces when they're doing it as well, and you kind of see everything afresh through their eyes. Like sometimes you get people that have never galloped on the beach before, and you look around and they're just like, their faces are streaming with tears, and they're like, oh, that was amazing, and you just kind of relive it your first time all over again as well. So it's just really enjoyable part.
Part of our trek group were Carolyn and Anna from Germany, who were on a working holiday at Highlands Unbridled.
Okay, girls, can you tell me why it is that you have come over to Highlands Unbridled?
It was like a childhood dream of mine, really, to ride across the Highlands, to see the landscape, the beautiful landscape here. And I was in Scotland with my family when I was 14. And I always wanted to go riding here, but it was always too expensive or too dangerous for my parents. So, and now me and my roommate, we went here because we both shared the same childhood dream. And then it's not that expensive here. You can work and you can ride, and it's really good. It's perfect.
Yeah, I read many books about Scotland, and this was the reason why I wanted to come here. And I had been here in Scotland 2 years before, and I wanted to stay for a longer time, and I wanted to work with horses to improve myself because I'm not very experienced yet. So this was the perfect place for me because I can work, live and stay a long time. So
What has been the best thing about being here?
Riding on the beach was the best thing. I think the horses are so excited all the time, and they run, and it was really, really great. I loved it.
yeah, I like it having animals around me, even not only the horses, the cat and the dogs. And it's very nice because Jan and Graham are very familiar, so I feel really like a family member. So
I think it's special for me to ride across this landscape because in Germany I come from a really big town and it's not possible to ride there. and here it's really, really, really beautiful, and like the horses and like the riding, so it's mostly special.
Yeah, for me it's the nature too, so I like it to be outside, and being outside so many hours a day, I think this is the best.
I think Highlands Unbridled, I think, is all about freedom, really. It's about freedom to ride through this wonderful landscape. We go to some beautiful places, and it's about sharing that with people.
From all over the world.
From all over the world. I think we're incredibly proud of what Scotland has to offer, what Highlands in particular have to offer, and it's just wonderful to be able to share that with people.
Okay, we're getting ready to go on the rest of the trek. After Eileen helped me mount up, we all got ready to head home after a long day's trekking. It's amazing how soon you feel the muscles which you do not usually use. Luckily, Eli used to be a driving pony, so he is well used to pulling heavy weights. If you have crossed a river on horseback, then you'll know it's quite a strange experience that can leave you a little off balance, but having been instructed to just keep looking ahead and not down, did the trick. The first drops of rain began to fall on our last stretch home, but nothing could dampen the sights and experiences of the day. Join us in part 3, where we head to the Royal Borough of Tain and take a look at the town's gala and Glenmorangie Highland gathering. That's us back from our days out trekking. We've been on the beach, we've been up in the hills, and we've been by a beautiful loch. Good old Eli here has taken me out there and back safe and sound. A well-earned rest for Eli now. Good boy.
Oh, go on. Oh, yeah.
The 2012 Tain Gala, kicking into life on Tuesday evening and playing out through an action-packed week in Scotland's oldest royal borough, culminating on Saturday with a traditional parade of floats along the spectator-lined High Street and making its way down to the links where an afternoon of entertainment unfolded, in the main ring complemented by a multitude of amusements surrounding it.
I'm Marie Ferris and I'm the Gala Queen.
I'm Ali Ross and I'm Gala Princess.
I'm Katrina McRae and I'm Gala Attendant.
This has been your first week as Tain Gala Queen. What has it been like for you?
It's been really fun, yeah, we really enjoyed ourselves. Yeah, it's been a good experience.
So what all have you had to look over this past week?
We had the tea dance on Tuesday with Ronnie Ross, which was really fun. We learnt new dance moves. And the slosh, that's what it's called.
We're getting quite good at it now.
Tain's Got Talent was another highlight of the week. Rona and Duncan, they were Gaelic singers, they came first and they were brilliant. And the runner-up was Naomi Smith, she was also really good. And then there was the quiz afterwards, which was brilliant. Yeah, we really enjoyed ourselves at that.
one of the judges also performed for you.
Chris Wilson, yeah, he's so good. He's the X Factor contestant.
Who was your favourite ally from the Tain's Got Talent?
Definitely Duncan and Rona, and it's really good because I know them because they go to Craighill as well.
Yeah, their harmonies were amazing. They were really good. So they're well-deserved winners. I just like the Saturday when everyone's together and there's lots of things in the centre ring. Inch Perfect Trials team. There was a horse display and all just kind of got the crowd going, and then there was the cheerleading display, which was really good. Nice to see some young girls doing some of their activities.
There was one girl and she was like nearly falling off the horse, but she was staying on.
Some of the things we weren't very sure whether they were meant to be doing it or not.
And we've had a really good experience, and even though the weather wasn't very good to begin with, it's stayed dry for us today, which is good. And we've met new friends and learnt new things.
It's been very strange, lots of people taking photos of you and all just looking at you, and being the very top seat of the car, I was just looking around going, wow.
Okay, Charles, today you performed with the Mass Pipe Band.
Yeah, Mass Pipe Band's here. We've got the Northern Constabulary, Sutherland Caledonian and Sutherland Schools Pipe Band with us today. It's been a great day, really enjoyed it. So we're just taking it for there. We've got the Mass Band Parade up in High Street tonight. We've got one more time to go around the arena. So yeah, it's been a good day so far, yeah.
And you had a special moment in the ring when you got presented with the mace.
Yes, I certainly did. Good mace from Ruby and her sister Chris. I can't thank them enough. Ruby's been in the band for, well, it says it on here, the last 50 years Ruby's been playing in the band, so it's her anniversary, so well done to Ruby as well.
And the Tain Pipe Band is heading off on a trip shortly.
Yeah, Tain Pipe Band, a week Sunday. We're heading off to Germany. We're doing a tattoo in Germany. There's going to be 10 pipe bands, a choir and a brass band, and I'll be leading the bands over there through Hardet in Germany. So yeah, we're all really looking forward to it. It'll be good for the younger members of the band to get out and about, and it gets Tain on the map, you know.
And this is the first trip that the pipe band's been on in a long time?
It's the first trip I've ever done with the band, and it's the first trip I can really think of that the band's ever done. So yeah, it's really good. Everybody's kind of looking forward to it. So this is kind of a final parade before we go over there. So yeah, everybody's looking really forward to it, yeah.
Okay, Graham, you've had the Youth Cafe entered into the float competition today.
Yeah, that's right. We put one float in this year because we've been doing several other things in the throughout the day, like the cage and the tea tent. So rather than try and do too much, we just put the one in. Last year we had three, but I think we came joint first or something. So I've not actually seen the guys yet to catch up with them, but they did well. They had a lot of effort, and it's all volunteers who've given up their time to work with the youngsters who come into the cafe. So I think it was a good effort. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing. There's not many other floats, but I'm not quite sure what the reason why that is. But still, but to come joint first is good.
And the cage that we have here, can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, this is an initiative we've just been sort of starting. I basically read an article in one of our magazines, and it was come over from the Netherlands. I was actually thinking this could be really good for Tain and for the surrounding villages. So we raised the money and we had our own cage made, and we picked up a trailer, and from there we've sort of just grown. We got the money from the Highland Cross, and we've now been able to be out a couple of times, and it's going to be out every Friday night in Tain, and every Monday throughout the day it's going to be in a variety of places, from Port Mahomet to Fern, Ballantor, Dornoch, and one other that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it'll be out every day on a Monday, and then every Friday somewhere different in Tain. We're trying to find out where the best place will be, but it'll be good. And the idea is, if youngsters have been drinking on a Friday night, then they can't play in the cage. So it's sort of a bit of an antisocial behaviour sort of thing, and really an incentive as an alternative to drinking on the streets, really. So it should be good,
Okay, Alistair, 2012 has been another great gala year.
Yes, it's been a good gala. Generally the weather's been favourable to us. The crowds have been a wee bit down at one or two of the events, and I think that's probably a sign of the financial times that we're living in. But generally today was a very successful day, and as far as the early indications are showing that we are at on the day of last year at this time. Certainly our Friday night dance was well down, and we'll have to have a wee look at that event and see why it was down so much. But anyways, that was a wee disappointment to us last night, but to see that the crowd was up today was a bit more encouraging.
And the weather held off for a fantastic day here.
Yes, a fantastic day at the links, and it was great because the forecast I think did have some rain amongst it, but we only got a wee shower of rain at the close of the pipe band on the high street, so we did exceedingly well as far as the weather's concerned. And I think that's what brings the crowds out. It's great to see the crowd lining the high street as the parade came through and then making the way down to the links, and to see queues of people waiting to get into the links at that point was very encouraging.
And it was some new acts that you had on this year.
Yes, two new acts, the horses and the motorcycle display team, and both I would say were real high quality acts. We were very pleased with them both, and I think the way that the crowd stayed with us to 5:15 at night showed that they enjoyed the acts.
Throughout the week, although maybe audience numbers were down, there was certainly a lot of participation in the likes of the Tain's Got Talent.
Yeah, that was a fantastic event. It was great to see the marquee filled for that event, and it just shows a homegrown event, as I'll call it, does very well. And you know, it was a good ticket price to get into it, and the people then stayed on for the quiz show, so that was a fantastic event. But it does concern me taking the likes of Glenmorangie, who we always try to have a nice Scottish evening, and that was a Scottish folk evening, and you know, that was very poorly turned out, and you know, that's embarrassing to us as organisers, that you take a good quality act up here and yet a very poor audience comes out to that. So we've got to rethink our strategy as far as these events are concerned.
This evening you've got Rhythm and Reel on.
Yeah, Rhythm and Reel top the bill again tonight, along with two local artists, Stuart and June, and I think you know, by the looks of it, it's going to be a full marquee tonight, which will be a good way to end the gala. And when you see people in there enjoying themselves, and when we come to the midnight hour just to see everybody dancing maybe to Loch Lomond or something like that, it makes it all worthwhile, you know.
Parading through Tain High Street, chieftains past and present made their way to the field for the Glenmorangie Tain Highland gathering. Showcasing some of our more traditional, iconic events, with a little assistance fuelled by the water of life, brings in visitors from all around the globe. The traditional heavy events, Highland dancing and piping, mixed in with cycling, running and jumping, there was also the welly race, the race for all ages, as long as you have your wellies on. Okay, Bill, can you tell us a bit about what you do for Glenmorangie?
Yeah, my official title is Head of Distilling and Whisky Creation. So basically I have responsibility for all aspects of the whisky production, which involves the running of the distilleries, the putting together of the recipes and developing the new products. But the other string to my bow is that I do a lot of brand ambassadorial work, and I travel the world trying to promote the virtues of Glenmorangie and Ardbeg.
So here in Tain today we're promoting it well by having the Glenmorangie Highland Games.
Yeah, it's one of these things that's been a very, very long association with the games here, which started before my time with the company. I've been with the company for 17 years now, so this is my 14th games. I've missed 3 because of holidays. But you know, the local community supports us in terms of our workforce and what we do here. So we like to try and put something back into the local community, and it's one of the biggest days in the local calendar, and it's personally something I hugely enjoy. So we always try and support it, and that's what the games are all about today.
And we've got people coming competing from all over. We've got the world champion heavyweight here as well.
Yeah, just, you know, it's the Highland Games circuit in Scotland is one of these kind of undiscovered jewels. There's so much going on and there's so much tradition here, and this is one of the main events on the calendar, the Tain Games, and we want to try and make more people aware of it, and it's so nice that the sun is finally shining and we've got a good turnout here today. It deserves it.
We spoke to some of the Highland heavyweights for a progress report on the field.
I'm doing very well today. I think I'm the old man of the field and I'm making all these young guys try a bit harder. It's hard with such good athletes here, but it's a good day, enjoyable. Excellent day at Tain.
And Scott, yourself, you're one of our Olympic hopefuls for next year.
Potentially, maybe. We'll see.
And how are you getting on today?
Okay, a couple of wins. Got a ground record in 28, so I was happy with that.
So do you follow the Highland Games circuit?
Yeah, I come up and do a few games during the year. Not too many, but a few.
How's it going for you today?
Not bad. I had a good morning. I think I burnt out a bit this afternoon, but Jason's pushing me the whole way, so we'll see how the caber goes. Not bad though.
What's your best event?
Usually the shot put or stone, weight for distance, not bad either. So I think I've had a few thirds today, which isn't bad considering the throwers here. So quite pleased with the day so far.
Brilliant. And how about yourself? What's your full title?
My name is Rusty Price. I'm from California, and about a month ago, I've won the World Championships in this series. So that's about it. I couldn't be here without my sponsor, the Northern Hotel. So I just want to say thank you to them, and it's been such a great series so far. So beautiful.
So how's the Tain Games compared to the others?
Beautiful weather today. I thought it was going to rain, but it turned out to be a nice day. I'd say with the crowd and stuff, it's I'd say in all my games, I could rank it about in the top 5. So it's really nice.
And you're gonna have a go at tossing the caber in a wee while as well?
I'm hoping to toss it. It looks pretty heavy, so hopefully it'll flip for me today. So.
Gets it up, gets it down, gets it moving. And hoists it up, and is it going ahead? It's gone over.
As we leave the caber toss competition going, wherever you are in the world, we look forward to welcoming you to the Royal Borough of Tain in 2013. Coming up on next week's show, we take to the loch and speak to Willie Cameron to find out more about the Loch Ness Monster legend. 19 years in, and Gissenbriggs is still going as strong as ever. We speak to some of the founder members who are still playing to find out what it is that keeps the Highland School Group's passion for music. And we head back to Fern Farm to catch up with John Scott.